You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. You always thought that you were weak, but babe, you're wrong. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Think that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Go ahead and shine, darling, go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine. You shouldn't doubt yourself, 'cause you're a work of art. You should know that you are perfect with those flaws. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Know that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Go ahead and shine, darling, go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine, shine, darling, go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine. You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Shine, go ahead and shine, darling, go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine, shine, darling, go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to A Turn of Events, where we help put a positive spin on the future of your business. I'm Annette Naif, the founder and creative director of Naif Productions. We are a strategic event production company specializing in corporate, social, nonprofit, and weddings. I'm also a coach for wedding and event planners who are looking to start their own wedding and event planning business, or for those who are struggling in their current business. If you are a wedding and event planner, you must join us on our Facebook group. We have driven, creative, and passionate wedding and event planners. They're only for planners. I love my vendors, but it's just for the planners. We bring together planners from around the world to network, gain referrals, improve their mindset, and build their businesses. You get such unbelievable free training from me. So just go to Event Planner Society Facebook group, drop me a note and let me know that you've joined, and I can't wait to see you there. Again, that's Event Planner Society. So I'm very excited about my next guest. John Dwyer is the owner of the Institute of Wow, a direct response marketing company that provides businesses with highly creative customer attraction concepts. Known as JD, this guy is a marketing enigma and an ideas guru who thinks way outside the box. And he's also the guy who scored the massive marketing coup of convincing Jerry Seinfeld to promote a bank down under. And JD will have your audience spellbound with this behind the scenes story of how this deal was done and what it was like to work with Jerry Seinfeld for 3 years. We're going to talk about direct response marketing, but that is so exciting. And I love Jerry. So, hi, John, JD, as I can call you. How are you?
Not too bad at all. Thank you, Annette. And with a rep like that, I'm going to have to give you a good interview. Otherwise, people will be disappointed.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Coming from Australia, which is very exciting. That's what's the time there again?
You're not going to believe it, but just after 5:30 in the morning.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for joining. That's so sweet of you.
My pleasure.
So,
But I'm not even going to mention, of course, that I've got the sports jacket and the business shirt on, but I've got a pair of shorts on.
Yeah, I've got workout pants on. So there you go.
I think
everybody's with us. They kind of get that. That's how it works.
When I was a child, I was watching the nightly news at 6 o'clock. You never realised, of course, until it came out that the newsreader was wearing a pair of shorts, but he had a sports jacket on. And then, of course, now that we're all newsreaders because of Zoom, I mean, we all do the same thing.
Right? I know. I love it. It's the best way to do it. I love it so much. Okay. So first, why don't you tell everybody like a little bit about your background, how you got into all of this marketing stuff?
Okie dokie. I guess it started 1,000 years ago back at school. I was given the role at about 15 years of age to organise the school fete. We call them fete. I think you guys would probably call them school fairs. And it's when they put the little throw the coin on the table, and if it lands in the right square, you win $5, and guess the age and guess the weight, and little Ferris wheels and merry-go-rounds and things like that. And this idiot who you're talking to, I think even at that age, just decided that we better put a bit of wow factor into this. So I went to a Catholic school, and the De La Salle brothers had a gigantic 8-car garage. And so we turned that into a horror house at 15 years of age. And I think the only reason we did it was because we figured that we could turn all the lights out and we could use torches to basically scare girls. I think that's what it was all about. But as it turned out, in that one-day school fete, the actual horror house made more money than all the other things put together. And I thought, hang on, this wow factor stuff, it's got some legs. Yeah. So when I left school, I did the usual advertising, degree at university and college and what have you. And then I got a job, luckily, with the major supermarket chain here in Australia called Woolworths. And they were at the time experimenting with what we call continuity promotions. And that means is that when you go into the supermarket, for every $5 you spend, you got a stamp, and you saved up your stamps to get cookware and glassware and all that sort of stuff. And then we moved into sweepstakes with scratch games. And I could see that this artificial marketing stuff was just skyrocketing sales. It was really, really distinguishing them from the other supermarket chains. And I thought, hang on, I might go ahead and do that myself. And so that's how it all started.
That's amazing. That's amazing. We used to have a Woolworths here, but it was kind of a store. It wasn't a grocery store. This was back when I was a little girl, but we used to have them here. And I don't know if it's the same chain because they've been gone for a while, but yes, we had them. Okay.
Yeah, no, I've been to America a couple of times. I remember seeing in the early days, probably when I was in my early 20s, I think it was still around. But no, this one here is very much a national iconic supermarket brand. Yeah.
Okay, great. So I know that Jerry Seinfeld helped you smash sales records for for a particular company using direct response marketing strategies. More about that in a moment. But what exactly is direct response marketing, and what makes it different from general marketing strategies?
Yeah, good question. Look, in general, if you went to an advertising agency, even today, I mean, every advertising agency now is a digital marketing agency. But if you go to any ad agency, even today, they will tell you to get people to, fall in love with your product, so that, fall in love with your brand, so that they'll buy your product. We flip it. We get them to actually, they'll get you to actually fall in love with the brand, and so then hopefully you'll buy their product. What we say is get them to taste your product so they'll fall in love with your brand.
Right.
And I guess it's flipping that model, whereby direct response marketing is about advertising on Facebook today and getting a result tomorrow, whereas your general brand marketing, of course, is sponsoring, one of the gridiron teams, or sponsoring the Olympics, or putting your face on the side of a bus. And that's great if you're Coca-Cola or you're Nike, but for most small businesses that are doing, 96% of businesses in America are doing less than $1 million. 96% of businesses in America and Australia are doing less than $1 million turnover. And if they are going to think they're going to build their brand by putting their face on the side of a bus, well, yeah, they need therapy. So really the whole idea of this is to actually get people to see your ad on whatever platform it might be today and take action tomorrow.
Yeah, that's great. So what sort of businesses should consider direct response marketing?
Look, I'm probably biased. I'd say just about any business. I mean, at the end of the day, if you look across the bigger businesses, they're starting to, sort of dabble in it. But really any business, because look, the thing is that if you are in a Me Too industry, and most people are, so therefore if you're putting solar panels on the roof of homes, then pretty much you're going to look like the other solar guy. If you're an air conditioning company, you're probably going to look very much like the other air conditioning company.
Yeah.
If you're a wedding planner, and I understand that's your business, or a lot of what you do, and that is that if you're a wedding planning company and you look like everyone else, so my view is you just need to stand out. You need to have a wow factor, and normally that is through what we call an incentive. So McDonald's have been putting a toy in the Happy Meal box for about 45 years. Kellogg's have been doing the same thing with cornflakes for all that period of time. Amazon, if you join their Prime membership club, you get free shipping and free movies. So what I'm saying to businesses, if you're in a Me Too industry where you look like everyone else, come up with a wow factor offer that's going to distinguish you from your opposition and get away from price discounting.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of because it's so hard to really, stand out. I mean, we have so many options on how we can stand out because of the work that we do, right? The designs, if you're doing weddings and you're coming up with all these great designs, of course, it also depends on the budgets that we have. So, there's only so many things you can do with a smaller budget, but, so, I mean, do you have any, I know I'm kind of, having you think off the cuff here, but any ideas if you are a wedding or event planner and you want to stand out? Do you have any ideas for that?
Yeah, we have a lot of wedding and event planner clients, and we just tell them to offer the bride and groom a free honeymoon, and also we give a free vacation to both parents who are paying for the, and it costs them $50.
Oh wow, how does that work?
And I know I thought I would get your attention then, Annette. Yeah. What happened is that I know we'll touch on the Seinfeld thing in a moment because I've milked the daylight out of that for the last 10 years, but might as well milk it again.
As you should.
It's funny, when on the second of the third year, I go back as a force to New York to do the commercials with Jerry. I said to him, he didn't have a website at the time. This was about 10 or 11 years ago. And I said, Jerry, you don't have a website. Can you imagine the amount of caps and T-shirts you could sell? And he looked at me and said, JD, do I look like I need to sell any caps or T-shirts? And I said, yeah, I forgot you've got more money than God. And he said, anyway, why? He said, why would I need a website? He said, I've looked at yours. I'm on there more than you.
Yeah, that's
so
funny.
I've milked the daylights out of it. But how that came about was that I had a client down under, which was a bank, and we stopped. I convinced them to stop marketing on interest rates. In other words, what the interest rate was for a home loan. Yeah. And they were a relatively modest sized bank compared to the Wells Fargo. I said, you're never going to beat the Wells Fargo. That would be like a little corner store taking on Costco on price. They're not going to win. All right. And so therefore I said to them, look, why don't you do this? I was doing some TV commercials for a travel company, and I introduced them and said, look, why don't you do this? Tell people to get a home loan from you and get a free vacation. And so Jerry Seinfeld came on TV and said, get a home loan from the Greater Building Society, they were called, and you get a free vacation. And they took an extra $15 billion worth of home loans in the first few years. And this idiot, this moron who you're talking to, charged a consultancy fee instead of a percentage.
Oh, no.
Yes, I keep on saying to my wife, if we charged a percentage of the increase in home loans, we would have bought Hawaii. We wouldn't have gone there, So anyway, as it turned out, after that campaign, we had a company contact me and said, listen, we've got access to unsold hotel rooms and resort rooms all around the world. Las Vegas, New York, Orlando, Rome, Athens, Greece, Mexico, you name it. Yeah. And these hotels, which are mostly 4-star TripAdvisor, they actually are running at about 30% vacancy outside of school vacation periods. And so therefore, would you like to, this is them talking to me, would you like to actually join with us where you somehow create a promotion for businesses, including wedding planners, whereby they get people to buy their product or service by giving them a free vacation. And I said, hallelujah, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I did say to them it sounded too good to be true, because I've seen every travel scam there is. I'm in the marketing game,
Yes.
And I said, look, if there's any timeshare presentations, I would bail and run the other way. They said, no. All it is very, very simple. The hotels are running at about a third vacancy outside of Christmas and Easter and school vacations, and they're happy to give up the room in the hope that whoever stays there will spend money on food and beverage. That's how it works.
Of course. Yeah, that's where they make the money.
So that's where this came in. We've got a promotion that we provide businesses, and they actually hand out a voucher that looks like this. I know if someone's listening, they're not going to see this, but nonetheless, if they're watching, then it's a voucher like that. And when someone promotes their refrigerator or uses their lawn mowing services or whatever it might be, they give them a free vacation for 3 to 7 nights. And we give them the vouchers that are worth $1,000 for $50. So what happens? And the reason we can do that is because, unlike most other goods, as you know, and there's COGS, there's a cost of goods. So if you bring a TV from China, it's $200. You're going to have to sell that for $400. In this instance, we get the inventory for free. So outside of our marketing costs and, just generally running the business, we can get the price down to a ridiculous number like that. So therefore, we've got lots of wedding companies and celebrants and all sorts of people, reception centres that basically say, look, use my services, and we'll give you a free honeymoon. And because they're buying these vouchers for $50, they give the 2 sets of parents a vacation as well. And I'll tell you what, that makes them stand out from any other wedding planner.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I love that. That's a great idea. Okay, awesome. So is there a proven formula for the direct response marketing?
Yeah, pretty much. I have to say that as long as you have a message to market match mentality, so therefore, if I was to walk into a menswear store and buy a shirt and they said, congratulations, JD, here's a skateboard, well, they're idiots, because I don't think I'm going to be turned on by a skateboard at this age, right? Whereas if they said to me, look, here's a dining voucher or here's a ticket to the movies, then yeah, that's great. So therefore, my view is that the easiest way to distinguish yourself from your opposition is, and nobody wants to price discount, because you take your brand from the penthouse to the basement pretty quickly. You don't want to get into that game, and it's not sustainable. I mean, if you wanted to put money in the bank really, really quickly, you can make up a story that we're clearing our warehouse and so therefore we've got 25% off. But you can't do that every day of the year. Costco can, and Kmart can, but most of us can't. So therefore, I always say, why put all that effort into, dropping your pants, so to speak, when you can't do that every day of the week? What you want to do is what McDonald's have done, come up with a Happy Meal toy where it can run for 45 years. Yeah. And so therefore, we say to people, look, make sure that whatever that incentive is that you put to your product or service, make sure it matches the audience. And so we find that the best things are ones that match a 25-year-old's needs and also an 85-year-old's needs. And that's why a vacation comes into play. Doesn't matter what age they are. They can't get enough of them. If they've just come back from Disney World today and all of a sudden they buy your refrigerator and you give them another one, they'll still give you a hug and go back to Disney World. So therefore, you can't get enough vacations. Right. But you can get enough microwave ovens. And the other big 2 things is that gas discounts work. As in vouchers, I mean. The other thing is cinema vouchers work, because obviously, it doesn't matter what age they are, and dining vouchers work. Now, the difference is, if you give someone a $50 dining voucher, they know you've just valued them at $50. You give them that, which is a travel voucher, and you've only paid $50, but it's worth $1,000, shut the gate, it's all over.
Wow, that's amazing. We definitely need to talk more about that, because that's really great. Do you have something that you can send at the end here? You can tell everybody how to reach you, but do you have something you can send to my audience so they can look into that?
Absolutely. And my auntie, who's Auntie Teresa, but you would know her as Mother Teresa, taught me to live to give.
That's right.
Yeah, she taught me to live to give. So what I'll do is that towards the end of this get together, I'll show because I'm such an idiot. When I did I swapped across from corporate, so I was looking after the likes of doing promotions for McDonald's, like the Monopoly promotion, and KFC and 7-Eleven and Rupert Murdoch's newspapers. I did all of his scratch bingos and so forth. And about a dozen years ago, I said to my wife, look, we're not getting any younger. Why don't we actually take this stuff that I've got and I'm giving to some of these bigger companies and they're paying, reasonably handsome sum for it. Why don't we go on the Anthony Robbins model and we actually give it to smaller businesses and we do the seminar circuit, right? And she looked at me and she called me a complete moron and a complete idiot. And she said, we had 2 of our 6 children still at school at the time. So she said, for God's sake, just stick to your knitting, all right? And I didn't listen to her. So I went out and did the seminar circuit, had no clue what I was doing. I mean, I can't believe I was in a boardroom the week before. And in the first seminar, I asked the people in the front row, what do they do? One sold garden gnomes and the other one was a psychic. And I said to my wife, I'm going to Costco at morning tea time. She said, why? I said, to buy some rope. What the hell have we done? Anyway, the people who were promoting me to, and the Seinfeld stuff was happening at the time. So it was pretty easy to fill the rooms with 100, 150 business owners, come see the guy, works with Jerry. So I milked the hours out of that. But as it turned out, the mob that were promoting me said, you got to write a book. I said, I don't want to write a book. And they said, no, you've got to be a mentor. I said, no, I'm mentor, not mentor. And they said, no, you've got to. So I decided if it's the Institute of Wow, I better write a big book. So this is the size of the book.
That's fantastic.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And I had to write a normal size. So I do have a normal size one too. Okay. The Avalanche League, but this big one is called the Wow Manifesto, and it's 300 pages. It's gold tipped on there. It cost me $420 to print this book, by the way. So inside here is a gigantic swipe file of all the direct response campaigns that have worked for all sorts of businesses. It doesn't matter whether it's the butcher, baker, candlestick maker, or McDonald's. And it's a lovely swipe file. So at the end of our get together here, I'll give you a link where people can actually go and they can grab hold of this.
That would be great. That would be awesome. Thank you. So I believe you summarized the formula with the term problem solution. Is the recipe applicable to any business? And are there specific industries that the problem solution formula is more suitable for?
Yeah, good question. Look, it's pretty much suitable for everyone. I mean, the only reason I put food on the table, all of our 6 children have left home now, they're growing up, so therefore I don't have to put so much food on the table anymore.
Yeah. But good thing. It's now.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I should say, because now we're at an age where the kids have left, of course, and we're donating quite a few dollars to the local cafes and restaurants. So therefore, I guess I should say, instead of, I've got to do stuff to put food on the table, I've got to do stuff to buy other people's food to put on my table. And the only reason that I make a living is because I can help people with their problems. And most of the people that I help are business owners or CEOs, and they're looking for ways to increase sales for their business. And I've got a reasonable track record of providing them with a solution. So it's all about problem solution.
Right.
If you have a headache, then you take a headache tablet. If you want your lawn mowed, then of course the lawn mowing guy is going to provide you the solution. So I always say to people is that you may not realize that you are providing a solution, but you are. No matter what they buy, you're providing a solution. Kleenex providing a solution. You got a dribbly nose, all right?
Right.
And so therefore, most people do forget that, though. So they get out there and they put their logo on, Facebook, and they talk about the history of the business and bore everybody to death. And what I say is that, look, if you're in the weight loss industry, then basically you would say, are you overweight, not feeling good about yourself? Well, guess what? Summer's just around the corner. Would you like to look like a supermodel within 4 weeks? And then, of course, come on to the weightloss.com. Hardly anyone does it properly. And so whoever might be watching or listening to this, if you take anything out of it, A, distinguish yourself from your competitors and not on price, but rather give them something as a reward. And B, make sure that you highlight that you can solve their problem.
Yeah, I always tell my students that it's find out what the problem is, and then you're going to solve that problem. So we always work on that as well. So it's a very good thing to follow. So you've often highlighted the business owners and managers should be the UN of their industry. What do you mean by the phrase the UN?
Yeah, not the United Nations, but rather the unconventional, unlike, basically, if I'm doing a convention presentation or seminar presentation or webinar or anything, I always say to people, look, do you look like your competitor? Like I was saying before, are you in a Me Too industry? And generally speaking, 99% of people will put up their hand and say, yes, we are. And I said, well, in that case, what you need to be is the of your industry. And you wouldn't believe it. One day I was doing this and that, and there was a guy in the audience who owned a real estate business, and it was already, well before me, it was already called Unreal Estate, would you believe? And
Yeah.
so I had to give him a pat on the back. I said, mate, you've nailed it. So yeah, you want to be the electrician, you want to be the retailer, you want to be the plumber, you want to be, and look, I'm only coming up with that silly little saying so that at least it remains in people's memory, because just try and make sure that you're very, very different. We've had trades businesses, tradies, tradesmen who are plumbers and electricians and builders and so forth, revolutionize their business simply by guaranteeing that they will be at your house within 15 minutes of the time that they told you 2 days ago. Now, that is a wow factor like crazy, because we all know that when you're talking to the electrician, he'll say, I'll be there at 10, and you've decided to not drop the kids at school, and you've decided to rearrange your day because he's coming at 10 and he turns up at 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's just a wow factor in terms of, something as simple as that. We had a hairdresser recently in a little country town, and she was the only hairdresser in town for 30 years. Right? So it was like Mayberry from Andy Griffith. And so therefore my wife knows this lady, and so this was a freebie. I keep on saying to my wife, look, stop knowing people, would you? We've got giving away too much for free. But anyway, Kimberly, this girl's name was, that owned the hairdressing salon, and she said, look, we've just had a competitor open across the road, and they're doing men's haircuts for $10, and we charge $55 for a men's haircut. So she said, we're losing all of our men like crazy, because men don't care. They'll go to a butcher to get their haircut. Exactly. And I said, okay, leave it with me. So, and she said, look, I'm going to have to either reduce my prices to $9. I said, we're not going to make any money doing that. Or she said, I've got to do something. She said, I need one of those wow factor things that you've got. Okay, right. And so 2 days later, I went back and we fixed her problem like overnight. We just put a sandwich board outside her hairdressing salon that said, we fix $10 haircuts.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic.
So the thing is that it's all about the creativity of the offer. Just think outside the square. Look, we do it for a living, so that's why it rolls off the tongue. But the thing is that you cannot go out there and price discount forever, because most of us are not Kmart. We're not Costco. We can't afford to do that every day.
Right. So I've often heard you say incentive-based marketing. What's that all about?
Yeah, well, that's pretty much, that Seinfeld story whereby, he came on TV and social media down under and said, get a home loan, get a free holiday. Well, we call it holiday, the free vacation. And that's what it is. It's basically the Happy Meal toy. And I can tell you that 97% of businesses worldwide have never, ever, ever used an incentive. And look, people ask me why they don't. And I say, well, most people, if they are becoming even a doctor or dentist, they are going to college or university and they spend 3 or 4 or 5 years there and they come out with the degree. If you ask them, were you ever taught how to get patients? Were you ever taught how to get customers? They'll say no. We were taught how to be a good dentist or a good doctor. And for that matter, any other profession, most people who start a business are a good technician. So they're very good at their trade, whatever they might do, but they've never, ever been taught how to get customers, which is tragic, of course, because, you can be the best technician in the world, but you're not going to eat unless you know how to use Facebook. And so therefore, really, we say to those people, look, the easiest way, the fastest and easiest way for you to increase your business is to stand out from the crowd by giving someone a reward and incentive. And always, by the way, don't make that incentive your product. So we have a chain down under called Sushi Train, and we all know what a sushi restaurant is. It's a little train that goes around, and they give you points when you spend with them, and you can save those points and get free sushi. Now, if they swap that for a free movie pass or some other tangible item outside their own food, it would double the response. Wow. Don't give away more of your own product. Give away something that is a surprise to your audience that is not your own product.
I love that advice. That's great. So incentives are meant to take people's eyes off the price. Is that right?
That's it. Yep. You don't want people looking at your price, because if they do, that means that they're probably going to be comparing you with 3 others.
Yeah, right. I love it. Such great advice. So is there anything else you want to say about the Jerry Seinfeld? We covered that because that's so exciting. I actually saw him last year. I saw him live and he was hysterical. mean,
Yeah.
he's still so great. I mean, he's such a natural, and I still watch his show,
Yeah.
Seinfeld. I still watch it. So I've probably seen every episode about 30 times. So how did you get him to agree to do that?
Yeah, look, it was one of those things that the building society had been running, get a home loan, get a free vacation for 3 or 4 years. And as I said, billions and billions of dollars came in that first few years. And they said to me about the 3 or 4 year mark, because I am a bit of a larrikin, a smart aleck, they said, okay, idiot, now we're 3 or 4 years into this and we've scooped up all the low-lying fruit. Is there something you can do to really take it to another level? And I said to them that we'd become buddies by that stage with the chief executive. And I said, oh, look, what more do you want? I mean, you just had 3 or 4 years with a record home loans. I mean, fair go. And they said, okay, well, give it a shot. So I thought to myself, okay, what do we do? And a building society or a credit union tends to attract what we call a working class audience, which are going to be, electricians and plumbers and builders and people like that. Whereas a bank tends to attract the coats, the suit and the ties, and the professionals. Yeah. And what they wanted to do is get up to that level. And I said, no, you've mistaken me for David Copperfield. I'm afraid I can't take you from working class up to the Hilton Hotel people. And they said, well, you reckon you're pretty good at what you do? I said, yeah, but I'm not a magician. And I said, okay, well, leave it with me. And I thought what we could do is probably take their audience up to what we call middle management, white collar. Okay, so those people normally would get the loan from the bank, but maybe they might come to the building society if we tease them enough. So we looked for an endorsement person, and I put out an all points bulletin research to all the members of the building society. There was 300,000, and also outside of that. And I was hoping that the response would be, oh yes, an Australian entertainer would be fine. Guess who? The research asked, who do you think would be a good personality for this cheeky brand? Number 1 came back Robin Williams, number 2 Jerry Seinfeld, and number 3 Jim Carrey. I had dug myself a grave. Okay. Right. Why the hell did I do this? So I thought, well, me and my big mouth. So therefore I flew to New York and met with Robin Williams management, and he signed up. And so therefore, of course, I got off the plane back in Sydney, and I said to the building society, you're going to have to build a statue of me. I got Robin Williams. And because God was watching and my head was too big, we had a call then from his agent the next day to say he just got a movie and he couldn't do it.
You must have felt horrible.
Yeah, so anyway, I chased Seinfeld around, and I'm reasonably persistent with that stuff, and so therefore I eventually got onto his manager, George Shapiro, in Beverly Hills, and we hit it off. He's a bit cheeky, I'm a bit cheeky, so we hit it off, and eventually, after months, 3, 4, 5 months, Seinfeld said yes. And I remember when I got to see him for the first time in his office in New York, and like it was a tall building, I said to him, look, why did you do this? You've got more money than God, And he said, look, I did it for 2 reasons. Number 1, you wanted me to be sarcastic and take the mickey out of banks. And he said, I do that for a living, so I enjoy it. And number two, he said, I thought if I never said yes, you'd never go away.
Yeah, it works. It works.
Well, I believe in persistence beats intelligence. And in my instance, because I'm not that intelligent, it's really good. Yeah.
You're so funny. Well, I'm sure he, appreciated the humor side of what you do. So, he can appreciate that.
Okay, to be honest with you, I was very hesitant to display too much humor in front of him.
Yeah.
He could shoot you down in 2 seconds, so I was a little bit laid back, I'm afraid.
Yeah. He's funny. Okay, great. So I do this little lightning round where I like to ask a few questions, if you don't mind. Sure. So who is someone who is inspiring you at the moment, and why?
I think I'd probably give you the answer that a lot of people would give you, and that's Elon Musk. Okay, so
yes, a lot of people would give that.
Yeah, I mean, the guy his IQ apparently is just through the stratosphere, but also add to that the creativity and the risk taking. I know that when you've got all that money, you can afford to take risks, but he wasn't always like that. So he's been a risk taker forever. But, when you see like what he's just releasing with those robots, where he's going to make a robot available to everyone for $25,000, yeah, so therefore, whoever's watching or listening to this, you can get rid of your wife or your husband and just have a robot.
I'm sure people will take him up on that. Okay, great. So what's the best advice you've ever received?
But probably the best advice would be hang around people who say why not, rather than people who say why. And if you're in the creative sphere, which you are and I am, then it's not fun dealing with left-brainers who are normally accountancy, operational sort of people, because they're going to find a reason not to do it, and they will say, "Oh, why? Oh, but why, JD?" Or why, Annette? And hang around people who say, "Oh, why not? Let's give that a shot." And I must say that the mistake I made in my early days was that I had a bunch of people around me that kept on saying, "Oh, why? Why would you do that? Why would you do that?" And these days, and for the last 15, 20 years, I've had crazy people who go, "Yeah, why not?"
Yeah, I know. I think people take more risks these days, which is good.
Yeah.
So we're coming up on the end of the year here, which is so crazy. But what are you most looking forward to next year?
Look, I think despite the fact that I'm a baby boomer, we've got pretty heavily into the AI stuff and the robot stuff. We have launched a program for trade. We call them tradies down under, tradesmen. Maybe you guys call them tradies as well. They're the electricians and plumbers and pest control people. And their big problem, because we've had a lot of them as clients, is they can't answer the phone. They're on the top of the roof putting a solar panel in. They just can't answer the phone. Or they don't want to because they could fall off the roof, And so we've created a what we've called the AI genie, and the best way for us to explain it to tradesmen is that it's a robot, because that gives them a visual. But obviously, it's just an AI voice,
right?
And what happens is that it answers the phone for them, and so they can have a man or lady doing it. It doesn't really matter. We can program the AI robot to be sarcastic like me, or to be more professional like you.
I wouldn't go that far, but yeah.
Yes. And so therefore, what happens now is that the robot answers the phone, "Hello, Smith Electrical," and if someone says, "Yeah, look, I'd like a quotation on 3 ceiling fans and an air conditioner," it will have a conversation with the person. It'll get the address, and not only that, it will actually schedule the appointment for the electrician to go to the home on a day where he is in the same area. So therefore, it's going to save him travel time. So it's that smart that it even does the schedule. Yeah. So we've launched that only just recently, and it's taken off like crazy, because the robot is now not only answer. Oh, what was happening before was that we had a business that was a crash test dummy, and they had 10 trucks on the road. And what would happen is that they get 100 calls a day, particularly if it was a hot day, because people would want an air conditioner, and they could only answer 60 of them. They had an abandonment rate of 40 because people just wouldn't hang on the hold button. Wow. Now they have no abandonment rate whatsoever. If they get 100 calls in a minute, every call is answered.
That's amazing. AI is, we use it a lot in my business. My marketing team uses it, and it just saves so much time. It's helped me, obviously, because my team isn't taking as long to write things, the copies, the content, all of that, because they're able to get such great ideas and then change it up. But it's just amazing what's out there now. I have to keep up, because it's going really fast, and I think that's really great.
Well, it is, and there's one product that we have, and this will be really interesting for any business owner who's listening or watching this. And I'm only saying that to make them think that it will be interesting. If it's not, of course, I'll just say it was an interpretation thing it was there for. But what we find is that nobody, and I know, none of us can make a sale without a lead. And so most of the businesses that come onto our thing say, "Look, give me leads." And that's why my little book is Avalanche Leads Formula. So we're down in little old Australia, whereby we've got the same landmass as you guys, but we've only got 26 million people. Okay. So the numbers I'm about to give you are reasonably impressive. We got 102,000 leads, warm leads, for business in 7 days, within 7 days. And I'll tell you how we do it is that we've set up a thing called the Facebook contest formula. And if anyone wants to have a look at it, just go to fbcontestformula.com and you'll see it. And you can swipe the ID. You don't need to give me anything. We look after it for businesses if they want us to, but it's as simple as this. You just run a contest on Facebook, perfect for wedding planners. You just run a contest and you give away your product or service as the prize. Now, let's just say it was a wedding supplier, okay, and it might have been a reception centre. So they're saying, look, we're going to give away a reception for free, and that'll be the major prize. If they get 1,000 entries into that and give one away, there's 999 people that just put their hand up and said, I'm getting married. And that they're red hot leads. They're not leads, they're red hot. And that's why we call it the FB contest formula, because the thing, I'll give you a quick example before we finish. There was a company 3 weeks ago that knocked on my door and they said, look, we have walking frames for seniors. And so therefore, they're walking frames with little wheels on them. He offered me a contra, so I told him I hated him. And so anyway, as it turned out, we ran a contest on Facebook and, win a $500 walking frame. He got 822 leads in 1 week. And because he couldn't follow them up, he's only a relatively modest sized business, so he's only 5 employees. We've got the robot ringing them up to say, look, you didn't win, but I've got great news for you. You've won second prize, which is a $100 voucher against a walking frame. And if you buy it before Friday, we'll give you a free vacation. The robot is doing it. He's not doing it. And the robot is beating him in conversion rates.
Wow. That's amazing. So when you go to facebook.contestformula.com, does it give you an explanation of how to do it, like how to run the contest, or it gives you all of that?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yeah, actually, fbcontestformula.com. So it's FB Contest Formula.
Oh, and not a dot. Okay, fbcontestformula.com.
Yeah, FB as in Facebook, fbcontestformula.com. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah. And what we've done there, Annette, because look, it's as simple. I don't think as humans, or I fall into this category. I don't think we're that smart, because we put Armstrong in the moon 50 years ago. We only put wheels on luggage in 1984. What were we doing?
I talk about that every time I go through the airport with my luggage. I'm like, how did we ever carry our luggage? Because believe me, I just went to Italy for 2 weeks. I could never have carried it. Like, forget it. I got a lot of stuff I got to take. But holy cow, I don't even know how it was ever done. I guess we just didn't take as many things in those days. It was before my time. So, but I do remember
the other thing,
they didn't have them. Yeah.
The thing that freaks me out is that in the big shopping mall car parks now, of course, they've got the red and green lights to tell you where there's parking spaces. Yeah. Again, that only came out about 5 years ago. What have we been smoking for 50 years? Seriously.
It's unbelievable. I always keep thinking, okay, what is it that we need right now that I need to invent? But I don't have a brain like that. Like, unfortunately, I don't. I have a brain for other good things, but I just can't think of something that's like would take off, But, okay, so I could talk to you all day. You're so funny. I love this conversation. And I love all these ideas about how to, really advance in your business and all of that. It's great. What's one piece of advice that you'd give to wedding and event planners who are just starting out?
Okay, so those who are just starting out, look, the way that's an interesting question, because the way I sell my products or services is exactly this. Okay, so therefore, I will hold a webinar. I will be a podcast guest. I will demonstrate to people that I can help them by actually helping them. So, for example, if someone goes to that fbcontestformula.com page, they can just swipe that idea and do it themselves. They don't need to give me a cent.
Right.
I do know that most people are like me. If you've got a sore tooth, you go to a dentist. And so therefore they'll see it. And we had a guy last week that rang me up and he said, look, I went to the website, I swiped it, I spent $350 on Facebook and I've got one lead. Can you do it? Right?
Yeah, of course. Right. I do that. I'll teach a bunch of stuff and I'll, teach them how to get their business going and all kinds of stuff. And then they're like, I can't do this on my own. So it's good to give away. We teach that when we do a lot of events very similar to the Tony Robbins platform, but it's 3-day events. They give content. They sell a coaching program. And, most times the content's so great, you can't do it on your own. So they need that person to help them with whatever it is, their marketing, their sales, whatever it is. But that's a good thing to do.
I'm the most unhandiest guy in the world. I'm the opposite from MacGyver. And so therefore, when we moved from 2.5 acres recently, but we were for 20 years on an acreage, which meant that I had quite a few things that you'd have a handyman need to do. And I am the worst handyman. I go to hardware stores and walk around just to look like a real man, So over the years, yeah, I am very used to, if you've got a sore tooth, go to a dentist. Whenever there was a hinge off the door or there was something that needed to be, my wife would just ring Matt, the handyman. I think Matt could be the father of 3 of our children, by the way, but I mean, she would get Matt to come in and do everything.
That's fun.
The advice that I would give to anyone setting up a wedding planning business is really come out of the blocks fast. Don't have a soft launch. It intrigues me why people boast about having a soft launch. I mean, they're idiots. I mean, you only get one Mother's Day, one Father's Day, one Christmas.
Right.
You have one opening. If you're going to do one opening, then just make sure it's a good one. It's a big one. So it is, yes, go hard or go home. But I would suggest to anyone setting up a wedding business right now, and this would be the same advice for any business, is that, kick off with direct response marketing, because you don't have a brand. I mean, people say to me sometimes, oh, look, if you're going to be doing direct response, would it hurt your brand? I said, no, not if you do it properly. Direct response, we have a 6-star hotel here on the Gold Coast in Australia called the Versace. And I've been doing marketing for them. And what happens is that they're inviting people to come in low season, and you will get Dreamworld tickets. Now, Dreamworld is our mini version of Disney World, right? So therefore, the Gold Coast is the Orlando of Australia. The Gold Coast in Australia is the Orlando of America. And so therefore, guess what? If it's done properly, come and stay at the 6-star Versace for the weekend, and we will give you free tickets to Dreamworld. Now, that is a big, and I know how it works. I've got the numbers. It goes crazy, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be the George Foreman barbecue infomercial. It's got the same, if you like, ingredients, but the communication is classier. So in your instance, because you're dealing with wedding planners, I would say whether it's a reception center or whether it's a celebrant or any of those, hit the ground with a stunning offer to start with, and you just watch what happens, because the big guys will be slow to move and you've just stolen their thunder. And of course, this is sounding self-serving, but the vacation program is a knockout, because
everybody loves that. Yeah. That's great. So fantastic. How can my audience find you?
They can't, because I'm on the run at the moment. So therefore,
you're on the run.
If only I could say, look, I'm afraid, Annette, I'm so rich, I'm on a private island, so therefore I don't want to talk to anyone, but I can't say that. Look, the best way is the website is theinstituteofwow.com. So if anyone wants to have a look at that, theinstituteofwow.com. But what I might like to do is invite them to spend an hour with me. What we've done, because of the amount of podcasts and stuff that I do, is that we've created 1 hour each week whereby whoever has, listened to me on a webinar or a podcast would like to just spend an hour with me. They come on a group call, which is normally only 6 or 7 people, and they can ask as many questions as they like. And it's exactly what we just said a moment ago, and that is they get to have a taste of the calamari before they buy the seafood. Yeah. So if they find that, my stuff is not for them after that hour, that's fine. They've just walked away with hopefully some good ideas and basically spent an hour of their life. So if they wanted that, then all they need to do, you're going to laugh when I tell you what the URL for this is.
I'm sure I'm going to laugh.
Getmorejd.com.
Okay.
So, and JD stands for John Dwyer, but getmorejd.com. And what will happen when you go to that page, it'll just give you a summary of what the 1 hour looks like, and that it's basically a brainstorm. And then you just put your details in, and then you will get a Zoom link that you can have an hour on the Zoom with me.
That's awesome. And how about social media? Are you on social media? Can I find you there?
Yep. So therefore, I'll send to you separately if you wanted to put it in the show notes. I'll give you the Facebook. I mean, if you go onto Facebook, John Dwyer, the Institute of Wow, LinkedIn, Instagram. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for 5:30 in the morning. You're way better than me. I would never do that. I'm not a morning person. Thank you so much. It's been so much fun. I loved all the laughter. So appreciate you for being here. Appreciate all of you for joining us. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. Take care.